Okay, Shalom, Shalom. Kwam Yasha'Allah, Koholoyam La Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rahakadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and by the Spirit taught us this beautiful truth. Just want to say the water to the Akim and Ahwaf that's out here sincerely keeping the laws, the statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai to the best of their ability. This is Yachanan the Wak. Just coming at you with another quick lesson, praying that it's edifying by the Spirit. And just wanted to touch on this article. I seen it yesterday, but this is if you're familiar with Mike Huckabee, he's like one of those real hardcore Zionists from here in the Americas, and he's the ambassador, to Israel basically. But it says outcry after Ambassador Mike Huckabee suggests Israel has God-given right to Middle East land. Now, scripturally, that's true, but these people are not the real Israelites. These people are imposters, man. Matter of fact, let me grab this quick script real quick. I kind of had it up on here. Ezekiel 36. And let me just jump to the point here, verse 5. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds, to cast it out for prey. And these are heathen, man. These are Idumeans in the Greek. As a matter of fact, they slipped that because that word Idumean. Let me go into it because that's actually a Greek name. Let me see here. Where's we at here? Let me see if I can find it in here. We'll have to go into it because that'll be another lesson. But that word Idumea, it's actually a Greek word. Edom, but see, you see, it's really, it should be Edom, Edomites, but still in the Greek they are Idumeans. So it's still the same. Okay, so they should have just had Edom there. These, and I was listening to one of the elders. I think it was the apostle, and they was talking about how these are little clerical errors, so to speak, or not necessarily clerical errors, because Esau he slips in and tries to change things up so people won't know who he actually is. Which these people are Edomites. They're not Israelites. They come from Abraham, Isaac, and Esau, not Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But you have a lot of these Americans that really believe that these people are the people of the land and that they should, control and just take over what they want to take over because they are the so-called chosen people. But they're not. You so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you are the original Hebrew Israelites. Okay, so I could just play the article, but I'll just read through some of it because this was Tucker Carlson. They actually pulled his ass to the side too. They, when he got there, security yanked his ass, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? And along with his little, because they see Tucker Carlson as one of the biggest anti so-called Semites in the world, along with Candace Owens. And I'm surprised he went there. I wouldn't even gone there. And but I guess if anything happens to his ass, they know that they would immediately be blamed, which they don't care anyway. These people do all kinds of shit. Okay, but it says Arab states have reacted with fury after U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, suggested Israel has biblical right to take over large swaths of the Middle East. And that's what we're going to take over the world. We ain't going to just take over the Middle East. But that's going to be our central ground. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be we're going back home, man. That's going to be our central location, but we're going to take over the entire damn galaxies, man. Okay? But it says it would be fine if they took it off, but I don't think that's what we're talking about today. Huckabee told podcaster Tucker Carlson during an interview posted on YouTube on Friday as the two discussed his Christian Zionist beliefs and interpretation of the Old Testament regarding land promised to Abraham's descendants stretching across multiple modern day countries. So you have to realize that Abraham had, it didn't, the promises, went from Abraham to Isaac to his son Jacob. You know, Jacob's name was changed to Israel or Yashar'al in the Hebrew tongue because there's many. Abraham had more than. Matter of fact, let's see how many children Abraham had. Just put in how many children did Abraham have, just for the sake of the lesson. So that would mean that it wouldn't just be these so-called Jews, if that was the case, if they're just going by, the seed of Abraham. See? According to the book of Genesis, Abraham had 8 biological sons and 3 different women with 3 different women. See? His children include Ishmael, which was the oldest, via Hagar, she was a slave woman, Isaac from Sarah, and 6 sons with his later wife, concubine, Keturah. See? So if they're saying that, let's go back. If they're saying that it's just supposed to be from the, Abraham, then they will have to share that land with the other 8 children. I mean, with the other seven children, so to speak, right? But see, this is that mix up. You have these Christians; they don't understand that Abraham had multiple children, but that the promise was only, given to Isaac, and then from Isaac it went to Jacob, and then from Jacob, you know what I'm saying? Of course, the 12 tribes of Israel, because Jacob's name was changed to Israel, which is Yashar'al in the Hebrew tongue. So those 12 tribes of Israel, those sons make up the 12 tribes of Israel. That's who that land is for. It's not for all the children of Abraham. And you have New Testament believers. They believe that everybody can be saved because they're children of Abraham. Well, Abraham didn't create. All the nations didn't come from Abraham. So what about those nations that didn't come from him? And that's another lesson too. But let's go back into the article. Okay, so he says Huckabee added that this was not on the table as they're not asking to take all of that. Asked if it would be fine for Israel to take over countries, including Syria and Lebanon, he replied, "That's really not exactly what I'm trying to say." His comments drew swift condemnation from across the region. A joint statement from the foreign ministries of over a dozen Arab and Muslim nations, including U.S. allies Qatar and Saudi Arabia, expressed their strong condemnation and profound concern regarding Huckabee's comments, affirming their categorical rejection of such dangerous and inflammatory remarks. These statements directly contradict the vision put forward by U.S. President Donald Trump, as well as the comprehensive plan to end the Gaza conflict. The statement said, "The League of Arab States, which includes all Arab states in Middle East and North Africa, called his comments extremist and lacking any sound basis in statement posted on X." Well, in reality, I mean, hey, that's scriptural, because we're going to take over everything, but these are not the people. These are not the real Israelites. That's just what it is. They're not Israelites, man. These people come from Esau. They are Edomites. Saudi Arabia Foreign Ministry described Huckabee's comment as extremist rhetoric and called for the State Department to clarify its position on them, while Egypt described the comment as flagrant breach of international law. Iran warned the remarks could further embolden Israel in its illegal measures against Palestinians, as well as its constant aggression against the nations of the region. So yeah, and really, Israel is the least of the flock. Let me see, been a minute on that one. And that scripture talks about the least of the flock should draw them out. And that's Israel, man. Israel, because these are the people that they have in play. Why do you think they got Huckabee there? Because he was one of those extremist Israeli Zionists from here to begin with. If you go back into his history before he got that job, this is Jeremiah 49:20. "Therefore, hear the counsel of the Lord Yahweh that he hath taken against Edom, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them." So these Americans, you're about to go to war on behalf of Israel, because Israel can't do that on their own. They can't go against all those. You know how small the state of Israel is over there. They can't handle going up against Egypt, Arab, Saudi Arabia, Iran, and all these. They can't do any of it. Hell, America can't do it, even with as powerful as their military is. But these Israelis are gonna draw you stupid, doofy ass Americans into that war. Which is, matter of fact, let me go back. World War III, Revelation 11 and 14. This is what's coming, man. The second woe is past, which is World War II, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. And that's what's about to happen. You know what I'm saying? And before that happens, that mark of the beauty and the beast is gonna come about, man. These people are going, they already in a moment of trying to chip your ass. And things are speeding up. Things are speeding up because you got America over there in the region right now ready to strike Iran on behalf of Israel. And it's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? They're not positioning those ships for nothing, man, over there. They got all those Navy ships off that ocean, and it's really reckless, man, for America to even you think that. But see, these greedy ass Americans, they've taken all this money from these Israelis, man, because they've been bought out, and they're not stopping the bullshit. You think that they would just be like, nah, you about to get us destroyed. They're not thinking about that. It's kind of crazy because even the money that they're giving you, they're supplying you with all these funds, but you're going to be destroyed. So you can't even fucking spend the money anyway. But it's all prophetic, man. It's got to happen. Well, let's see what else it has to say in here. Okay, it says Iran warned the remarks could further embolden Israel and its illegal measures against Palestinians, as well as its constant aggression against the nations of the region. Huckabee has since complained that the viral clip from the interview did not give the full context of their 2-hour exchange, which was posted in full by Carlson on X and YouTube. The ambassador wrote on X that they had a very twisty and frankly confusing discussion about the meaning of Zionism, adding that he had been asked as a former Baptist minister, about the theology of Christian Zionism. So he was a Baptist minister here in the Americas, man, which they believe in white Jesus, and that those white people, those so-called white people over there in Israel, are the real Israelites. This Baptist minister, he's not going to tell you that the Lord was a dark melanated man with woolly hair with a deep voice, according to Revelation. He's not going into that. These so-called white people, and we say so-called because they're not white. They're actually pinkish to reddish in color. These people believe that a so-called white man will come back to save the entire world through these so-called white people in Israel. But the scriptures clearly says that the people of Israel were dark melanated people, man. They are the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans of today. And they only talk about one tribe. They say they're they're JW, JEW, ISH ish. But where are the other 11 tribes? You're not going to hear Mike Huckabee talking about the other tribes of Israel, because Israel, his name was changed to Israel. He had 12 sons. All those 12 sons became pretty much like nations in themselves, but they are the children of Israel. And when you get the word Jew, that's just short for Judah, basically. Judah was the fourth son. So where are the other 11 sons? Where are the other 11 tribes at? They're not going to tell you that. They see this is all pretty much. I mean, it's prophetic that the heathen man will be there, man. A bastard would dwell in Ashdod. Let me see if I can find that. They over there with all that wickedness going on. The world is at. It's just these not the people, man. See if I can find that one. Yep, Zechariah 9 and 6. And a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, and I will cut off the pride of the Philistines. So when you go into Ashdod, let's go into it here. It says a place in Palestine. And see those Palestinians too. They're not. That's not their land. So they getting their asses. And the Lord is really just using those Edomites, Israelis, to corner their asses. And then after they get cornered, the Lord is going to deal with those Israelis, man, because they're not the real people, right? So let's see what else Mike Huckabee got to say in here. And these people serious, man. These other nations, they looking at especially in that region, they looking sideways at this place, man. And the only reason why they able to withstand those other nations over there because they have the backing. They bought America, and they have the military might of America, man, to keep those other nations at bay. Okay, but it says the ambassador wrote on X that they had a very twisty, and frankly confusing discussion about the meaning of Zionism, adding that he had been asked as a former Baptist minister about the theology of Christian Zionism. He kept dragging it to discussions about other topics, literally other countries, things that have nothing to do with theology. Well, it's got everything to do with theology, scripturally, because when you go into the landmass, when you go into the lands that all the 12 tribes had at one particular time, and it covers all that shit over there, man. That's why he was asking you that, because if you came from the place that you came, during 1948, with the Balfour Declaration, and you came over there and you situated in that land saying, okay, we're the biblical Jewish people, then that would mean that you can take over all that shit over there. Because we control, because you have to say, hey, all this is ours. Okay, he says he kept dragging it to discussions about other topics, literally other countries, things that have nothing to do with theology, and certainly not with Israel Zionism or anything else, he added. So he's playing cleanup. In a wide-ranging interview, Carlson had asked Huckabee about a Bible verse in which God promises Abraham that his descendants will receive land from the Wadi of Egypt to the great river of the Euphrates, the land of the Kenizzites, and Cadmonites, Hittites, Perizzites, and Raphanites, Amorites, Canaanites, Jerusites, and the Jebusites. Carlson, who has increasingly questioned U.S. support for Israel, said that this area would include basically the entire Middle East, including parts of Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, and Iraq. But I'm not sure it would go that far, Huckabee said, but it would be a big piece of land. Well, biblically, I mean, if they fit in the prophecy, they supposed to have all these lands. So really, in reality, it's telling, man. And then for Tucker Carlson to actually know these lands like that, and he can actually call out these lands, then you think that he would know enough research or have enough information to know that that those are not the people, and that the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are actually the original Hebrew Israelites. These people don't fit the prophecies, because if they fit the prophecies, they will have all those lands. Matter of fact, they will have the entire world, which in a sense, from a left-hand side of things, they do. But it's being ran wickedly. You know what I'm saying? And they don't have the powers of what the Israelites are gonna really have. When that prophecy plays out. Because the bodies of the men and women and children of the children of Israel are going to be changed. We're going to have new bodies. The law, statutes, and commandments are going to be written on our minds and hearts. We're going to be perfect. We're for sure not going to have a gay parade in Tel Aviv. There's not going to be no gay parades in Israel when we take over the land. How are these the holy people, and you have the biggest gay parade in the world there? You think the Lord is going to be dealing with it? You think the Lord is going to be open to that when he comes? Are you fucking crazy? King David is not there. The whole situation is just off. They don't fit the prophecies, man. Anyway. Okay, it says he added, they're not trying to take over Jordan, take over Syria, take over Iraq, or anywhere else, but they don't. But they do want to protect their people. Well, they would have those places if it was, if they were biblically the Israelites. Okay, it says Israel's far right finance minister, Bezalel Smotrich, a longtime prominent of Israeli expansion in the Middle East, appeared to welcome the remarks. He posted on X Saturday, I heart Huckabee. Huckabee, a devout Christian and outspoken Zionist, has frequently drawn on the Bible when discussing the Israeli occupation of the West Bank, but the latest remarks go a step beyond that in seemingly referring to a much larger hypothetical expansion of the Israeli state. And we're not going to have a state, man. It's not going to be an Israeli state. Nothing in the scriptures talks about an Israeli state. Here you go over here. You need the help from another nation to fight your battles to try and take over these lands, because you wouldn't have it if it wasn't for America. You wouldn't even be, they'd have blown your ass off the map well before if you didn't have the backing of America from 1948 up until this time period. That's the only reason why these other nations haven't taken your ass out. And those other nations are actually situated over there to a point where they have military might, they have power to keep your ass from advancing. You're not going to be able to do any of that shit, because all these nations are going to come up against you. They're going to come up against America, and you're going to be the ones. They're going to be the ones that's going to draw America into World War III and get the asses smoked, man. So I'm gonna end out there. And this guy, he meant what he said. I've been watching this guy for quite some time. This is he's a damn Edomite from here in the Americas, but they gave him that job of being the U.S. ambassador to Israel. And he really believes that these are the people of the Bible. He really believes that. But now, him being a Baptist minister, you think that he would question, okay, well, why don't you Israelis believe in the Christ that they talking about? Why don't you Israelis believe in who they call Jesus? They don't believe in who they call. He's just over there, you doing that job and you going all hard body for them, but they don't even believe in this Christ that you talking about, which is crazy as hell. Which we know that his name is Yahweh Shai. We know that the Lord. Look at this dude, man. He over there. Let's see if I can get this close up on it. Look at this dude. Look at his face, man. That son over there eating, they asses up. Look at the guy behind him, red as hell. The motherfuckers looking like cherry tomatoes, man. Red as hell. Those are imposters, man. That's over there in that land. There wasn't people in the land that needed sunscreen, man, back in the ancient days, man. So I'm gonna end out there, man. Yeah. I pray that the lesson was edifying with that Kwame Sha'ala. But hey, these people are the wicked that the Bible speaks of, man. They are the ones that the Lord said that the Edomites would be in charge of the planet before his coming. And 2nd Ezra 6:9 talks about how Jacob is the beginning. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, man. So this is the end of the world, and it's all coming into play. And this is actually them telling on themselves too. Tucker Carlson, he does a great job about cutting into these people, because you remember about a month or so back, he had a conversation with what's that guy name in Texas? Damn, the lawmaker out there in Texas. I can't think of his name. Old greasy head Edomite. But he was saying some of the same things and shit. You know what I'm saying? But he basically was like, the way the Bible says, those that bless Israel will be blessed. And Mike Huckabee was like, you think that these are the same? I mean, Tucker Carlson was like, you think that these are the same Israelis? Do you think that these are the actual Israelites from biblical days? These are not the same people. These are imposters, man. So it's all being they're being told on, man. They're basically being brought to light, according to 2nd Thessalonians 2:3. The man of sin, the son of perdition, is being revealed, man. This is what's happening, man. So with that, I pray that the lesson was edifying. Kwame Yasha Allah and a Bible ball.